Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margot Donohue and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margot Donohue, and my cohort and creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. We are in the middle of summer. We are hot and sweaty. But
yeah, I'm all red.
I'm all like schwitzing, but that doesn't stop us.
No.
We have to uncover creeps, the biggest jerks, losers, and assholes. We've got to get after them.
We're trying to make the world a little less creepy.
Exactly. And that is the whole point of our show. What we do is, if this is your first time, one of us picks a creep and the other one is challenged to come up with a non-creep. I love our episode already today. We're talking about Scott Baio. We posted in our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is private, by the way. You do have to answer a few questions before you join. And we never got the reaction to anybody like we did with our creep today. I am so excited to talk about it.
So many comments about this one.
But we got to go through the top of the show kind of stuff, even though it drives some people to 3-star crazy.
We have to do our business.
We got to do business, y'all. We have a flow. We have a thing that we do, and then we get into the groove, and then we get into the
it's
show.
going to happen.
Just what we do. It's our warm-up. You don't just run a marathon. You got to, jog a
we
little.
have to stretch.
We have to stretch. We have to put on our sweatbands. We got to kind of... move
we got to put our big pants on. Put your big pants on.
We got to put on our Depends in case there's no place to go. Anyway, we are the show that talks about creeps from the past to the present, and we do use salty language in this program. So
fuck yeah.
Please do not go to Facebook and complain about that. We have a basic Facebook page. We never check it. Join the Facebook group if you're into Facebook. But we're also on Twitter. We're on Twitter at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep for 10 years and never used it.
Creep.
And we're also on Instagram at What a Creep Podcast. Please follow us on all of those places if you use social media. Sonia and I each have our own little TikTok going. Maybe one day we'll follow through and do a What a Creep TikTok. That would be kind of fun.
That would be fun.
We also have a basic old-timey email. I want to say hi to Darcy in Manitoba. She's up in Canada. She really loves the show, and she loves it when Max barks. It makes her laugh.
Max also loves it when he barks.
It's whatacreeppodcast at gmail.com. If you would like some stickers, I just sent a batch out, but I'm going to put together another batch because a bunch of people just emailed me out of nowhere. We will get them out to you. That's also a place to send us your suggestions for creeps and non-creeps. Sonia, do you want to talk about the website real quick?
Yes. You can go to whatacreeppodcast.com, and it's everything you ever wanted to know about our podcast, but we're afraid to ask.
Terrified to ask.
Don't ask. The first 5 seasons are behind the Patreon wall. More on that in a second. But all the other episodes are linked there, and there are links to our show notes because every episode is sourced. We're not just pulling this shit out of our ass. We want to give credit where credit is due to the people who did a lot of the dirty work for us. So do that. There's also a link to our merch shop. So if you would like T-shirts or tote bags or mugs, whatever you want, you could do that. I have ordered T-shirts from there. They are very comfortable. And I have a Damn It Max mug, and I love that mug. It's a good size coffee mug.
I think I need to get a Damn It Max T-shirt to sleep in because I sleep in my old cat lady shirts because I am just basic that way. I'm a basic Brooklyn bitch. I like my cats.
Yes. Max is actually lying right here, and he's like, what? Every time I say, damn it, Max, he's like, huh? Like, what did I do? Do you want to tell him about the Patreon page?
I do. We put the first 5 seasons there on our Patreon page. We just put up season 5. It's notable because we have people like Phil Spector, our talk show creeps, Jerry Lee Lewis, Woody Allen, but also, well, one of my favorites, Frank Sinatra. That was a great episode. But also I put up Bongo Crosby because I was doing it too quickly. It's Bing Crosby, but he became Bongo for a few minutes there on Patreon.
That's fine. And Elon Musk.
And Elon Musk is... No, it's not actually. It's another season.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was in that season for some reason.
No, it's Woody Allen, Mario Batali, John Phillips. That's an intense one. Clark
Ooh,
Gable,
yeah.
Phil Spector. They're all up there. Now they're behind
good
the
ones.
wall. Also, you get a newsletter every month, which is like people are really raving about that.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And 2 bonus episodes. We just put up one the other day. And I want to thank Samantha, Kelly, Nikki, Erin, and Stephanie. All of them just signed up for Patreon.
Awesome. Thank you.
And awesome thank you to the people at iTunes who left 5-star reviews. CP Coffee, Prosecco 007, which I love, and El Capitano, who's out in Prague. Prague.
Nice.
I've been there. It's pretty freaking nasty, tasty, awesome. It's a wonderful place. So, all right. I'm sorry. My allergies are so.
You're fine.
Voice. I can hear it in my voice. All right. Enough of the rigmarole. Now let's get into the juicy shit. So,
all right.
Who is our creep today?
Let's talk about Chachi. Let's talk about Scott Baio.
Charles in charge of our days and our nights. That's all I know.
Sadly, Charles was never charged because of statute of limitations. But we're going to get into spoilers. That is spoilers. Trigger warnings, basic ignorance, racism, sexism, and sexual assault. Sources for this episode: The Daily Beast, E! Online, Insider, Hollywood Reporter, Jezebel, Newsweek, Nicki Swift, People, always love People, Salon, Scott Baio's own Twitter. What a shit show. Scott Baio's website, Uproxx, Yahoo News, and of course, Wikipedia. If you don't know who Scott Baio is, lucky. He was a teenage heartthrob in the 70s and 80s. He starred
I had a
in
crush.
Yeah. Everyone had a crush on Scott Baio. He starred in Happy Days. He was in the very short-lived spinoff Joanie Loves Chachi. I think it ran for 13 episodes. It didn't. Nobody watched that.
R.I.P. Aaron Moran.
Yeah, that was a sad one. And the mentioned Charles in Charge.
You forgot Blansky's Beauties. That was his first one. Do you know about that one?
No.
It's Nancy Walker. I love Nancy Walker. And she plays a lady that ran a group of showgirls in Vegas. And for some reason, Chachi was just like a kid backstage. Like they had on ABC, they had him on all these shows.
Oh, he did a ton of like TV movies and like after school specials and stuff like that.
And what's the big movie that he did, the musical?
Bugsy Malone.
Yes, that's a great movie.
Yeah, it's on our list, and we will definitely talk about that. His face was in all of those like Teen Beat, Tiger Beat type magazines. He was everywhere. So the reason our Facebook group kind of blew up when we said we were doing Scott Baio was a lot of us probably watched Happy Days and had crushes on Scott Baio back in the day. I don't think Scott Baio was my jam, but he absolutely was a lot of people's jam back in the day. So it was like you could be a teenager and you really like the Fonz, and Chachi was the socially acceptable version of that, for younger people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Fonz was too old for you. Shame on you. So he's also a Trump-supporting creep who's been accused of sexual assault multiple times. So let's start at the beginning. Scott Vincent James Baio was born September 22nd, 1960 in Brooklyn, New York.
Mentioned in my upcoming book, filmed in Brooklyn.
Oh, there you go. He's the son of Italian immigrants, Rose, and his father, Mario, who worked as his manager. His parents decided to send him to auditions after his cousins, Joey and Jimmy Baio, started doing television commercials, and they were making money, and they were like, little Scotty's cute, send him on his way. So he's doing all these commercials, and his big break was Bugsy Malone. In 1976, he beat out 2,000 other child actors to play the title character. It's a children's gangster musical. I don't know if I've actually seen the entire thing.
It's a musical, and it's about the 1940s, and it's a spoof on those kind of John Dillinger type movies.
Yes.
Jodie Foster is a Moll, M-O-L or M-O-L-L. I forget if it's two L's or one L. Yeah, she's kind of the girlfriend, and all the kids, when they have their gunfights, they have like they have like these cupcake treats that are spewing out at you instead of guns. It's like those.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
hitting you with cupcake bullets, and it has music. And Dexter Fletcher, the director, he was a little kid in this movie, and he's adorable. Everybody
Oh my
drink.
gosh. Okay. Everybody drink. We should definitely put it up the list.
It's pretty great.
We should watch it. Okay. So when he was 16, Scott Baio was cast as the Fonz's cousin as Chachi on Happy Days. Now, you're like, what's up with that? That's kind of like when they added Cousin Oliver to the Brady Bunch, or when you get Scrappy Doo. You know, it's like they want to bring in like someone a little younger, you know, because all the Richie Cunninghams and the Patseys and all of them are aging out.
They're 30 and they're playing like 19-year-olds.
Yeah. So they start bringing in younger people. And he did a bunch of TV movies. He got 2 Emmy Award nominations. He did one called Stoned. I wonder what that was about. And he did one called All the Kids Do It. He did one called The Boy Who Drank Too Much.
I remember that. He wet his pants. That was a whole line in the show. God damn it, he wet his pants.
In 1982, he was in the spinoff for Happy Days. That was Joanie Loves Chachi. It ran for 17 episodes. And then the same year, he did a movie called Zapped, which that has not aged well. We should probably put it on the list sometime for dorking out.
It's a sex comedy.
Yeah. It's...
they were making them in the early 80s, like Porky's and shit like that.
Yes. Yeah. And he also recorded an album, and it had a single on it that actually like got on the charts, but it wasn't huge. And the song was called How Do You Talk to Girls? How do you talk to girls? In 1984 to 1990, he was in Charles in Charge. He was like a college student who was like taking care of teenagers, you know, because that's what people would do. And then after that, he did 2 seasons of Diagnosis Murder, which is a show that everybody's grandparents love.
That's right. I forgot.
And he did a ton of like guest star stuff. So like Full House, Veronica's Closet, The Nanny. And then probably more recently that people remember is he played Bob Loblaw for as a lawyer on Arrested Development. Just the name alone. And he's an asshole, but he was very, very funny on that. But he is also a very well-known womanizer for years. So Willie Ames, who co-starred with Baio in Charles in Charge and Zapped, I remember him from 8 is Enough. But he once said there was a hard and fast rule in Hollywood that if you were blonde, first you dated Scott Baio, and then you marry Tommy Lee. That was
That's exactly 2 women, but okay, Williams.
Well, so he dated Pamela Anderson and Heather Locklear. He dated Brooke Shields, Melissa Gilbert, Beverly D'Angelo.
Wow.
Kind of surprised me. It's going to get better. Nicolette Sheridan, not surprising. Here's the one that I was like, what? Liza Minnelli. Dude dated Liza Minnelli in the mid-90s.
What?
Yeah, she was 49 at the time and he was 35.
Wow.
I did not know this. Yeah. I'm like, that's crazy. He also claims to have gone out with Denise Richards, and she denies it. And I'm like, damn, when a chick who married Charlie Sheen denies that she went out with you, damn.
It's kind of Denise's thing. If you follow her on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
She just denies stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. Something about her and Brandy. Yeah, she denies things, but...
Okay. He says they went out. She says no, but whatever. So he was like a well-known womanizer. I know that Howard Stern used to have a joke that like Scott Baio would like hang out at bus stops and like wait for like Midwestern blondes to get off the bus in Hollywood and be like, hello, ladies. Like that was like his joke. And he's probably not really far off. In 2007, Baio went on the Howard Stern show and he was gross, man. He just sat there and like rated all of his famous conquests, like judged their bodies, said that he would sometimes, this is a quote, bed less attractive chicks because it was his way of giving back. So
for
gross.
God's sakes.
He said that he would go out with his buddies, like cruising for women, and they would say, they had this term they would say, which was go ugly early, which is when you would settle for a less attractive girl because they were tired of chasing hot ones.
Oh, for God's sakes. Wow.
He's real gross.
That's really gross.
Yeah. So I assume he was on Howard Stern to promote his show, Scott Baio is 45 and single. Did you watch the show?
Of course I did. I watch all the shitty stuff.
Did you like it?
No, it was very frustrating. He's very frustrating. The way he talks to women, his whole thing was, it's like he has a girlfriend. She wants him to get married, but he doesn't want to because he wants to be settled down. He doesn't want the ball and chain. It was very retro and not in a fun way. And he had these asshole friends that were trying to get him to not, because they used to call Baywatch Bayo Watch because he fucked so many women that were on Baywatch. Yeah. He says,
yes,
they all say this. Look, I don't know.
Yeah,
it wasn't a fun watch.
Yeah, but that sounds about right.
But I watched it. Yes.
Even though it said single in the title, he was not single. Like, he was in a long-term relationship with a woman named Renee Sloan. She had actually worked as Pamela Anderson's body double on Baywatch.
Oh, so she's hot.
Yeah, they had met once before at like the Playboy Mansion in the 90s and reconnected years later. And the whole thing was like he was talking to his exes and working with these life coaches to figure out why he was so shitty to women.
Why he was single. And the answer is because you're a shithead. You're terrible to women. Yeah.
Yeah. And at the end, he proposed to Renee, and then he did a season after that was called Scott Baio is 46 and Pregnant. And that's because Renee was pregnant and the baby was born and their wedding like ended the season or whatever. The truth is nobody paid attention to Scott Baio after that. Mm-hmm. I'm not even convinced they were paying attention to him when he was doing that show. But then he got on Twitter and like a lot of celebrities, and he started tweeting out his shitty takes on everything. So like the time he tried to make a joke about then First Lady Michelle Obama, just, calling her ugly, saying like, wow, he wakes up to this every morning. And it's like an unflattering picture of Michelle Obama, and he would say things like President Barack Obama was either dumb, Muslim, or a Muslim sympathizer. And I don't think he's dumb, just like spreading all this like
Islamophobia.
Yeah. Just being the tweet about Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. He got a ton of, people were like, that's racist. You're fucking racist. And he's like, I'm not racist. Here's a photo of me, my wife, and her one black friend.
Oh, no. Yeah.
He literally did the like, here's my black friend. I'm not racist. And like, everyone was like, LOL, like, you're racist. So no surprise, he becomes a big fan of disgraced former President Donald Trump. And he campaigns for him. He even speaks at the Republican National Convention.
Of course he does.
Because I guess that's the best celebrity Trump could get to appear. Maybe
was Kevin Sorbo busy?
Yeah, that's what I wrote. I was like, Kevin Sorbo or Dean Cain were busy. And I'm like, LOL, they're never busy.
I read somewhere somebody said they got a cameo from Kevin Sorbo, ironically, like that. But I was like, happy. And he said, like, Kevin Sorbo was like, "Hey, this is Kevin Sorbo," and then he complained about wearing masks for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then it's like, "All right, happy birthday, bye."
What a dick! All three of these dudes are dicks. I probably could have combined them all together, but whatever. So he goes on. By the way, I know that like people love to give us 1 star on iTunes and say like they just hate conservatives. Like there's a difference between like conservatives and like racism, sexism, homophobia, like,
and assholes.
Yes. And Trump really pushed this, like he's super racist. He's super sexy. He's been incredibly accused of sexual assault. He's disgusting. He's disgusting. And people who support him or still support him, fuck those people. So fuck this guy. So he speaks at the convention. He is so happy to like be interviewed by the Hollywood Reporter, and he's like, I don't give a shit if I ever work again. My country comes first. And then he said,
sorry.
Yeah, and he's like, I guess I'm just an old, angry, successful white guy who stole everything he has from someone else. That's what he says. I'm like, ooh, he's the victim. He's the victim
Hot
here.
take.
Yeah, he also tweeted out a photo calling Hillary Clinton a cunt. He, tweets it out, says it's the best meme ever, could care less that people were upset by it, came to Trump's defense during the grab him by the pussy video when that comes out, because for some reason Fox News loves to interview Scott Baio. I don't understand. Do other networks grab rando celebrities for interviews? Maybe they do, but for some reason Fox News needed to know what Scott Baio thought about the pussy comment.
What did he think?
And he said, ladies, this is what guys talk about when you're not around. If you're offended by it, grow up.
Can you picture Jimmy Carter talking that way?
No.
It's come on.
Yeah, and I love this description, though. He says, by the way, this is what we talk about over white wine. He says that this is what we talk about over white wine and brunches. And I was like, I'm never sitting around talking about grabbing dudes by the dick.
No.
I do say I want to kick him in the dick.
No, I want to punch him in the balls. But
and he's just like, it's not a big deal, blah, blah, blah. He goes on TV with his shitty take. He goes to a couple days later, goes on to actually, I'm sorry, it's about 2 months later. He's dropping his kids off at elementary school, and Nancy Mack, the wife of Chad Smith, the drummer from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, goes up to him, and she's arguing with him about Trump. And then he says she physically assaulted him.
what did she do?
And she says, I was just trying to show him how Trump hugs women. I just thought it was really funny. I was like, you fucking pussy, Scott Baio.
I think also Chad's been accused of sexual assault.
Yeah. I probably.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah. I have thoughts about
We've
members
talked
of the Red Hot Chili
We've talked
Peppers.
about
Sorry.
them, yeah. But it's
Sorry,
funny.
y'all. In August 2017, he retweeted memes. He's so shitty on Twitter. Just another thing that the death of Heather Heyer in the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, which was super sad, and Sandy Hook. He said they were hoaxes.
Oh, for
that these
fuck
things,
you. Fuck
that
you.
these things, yeah, seriously, fuck anyone who thinks that.
Yeah.
So then one of the Sandy Hook mothers tweets to him, calls him out for it, and he blocks her like a coward. And then 2 days later, Baio's wife, Renee, is on Twitter, and she's had all kinds of health problems, and she's giving an update on her surgery or whatever. And this mother, the Sandy Hook mother, said, sure hope no one makes fun of you or suggests you're acting. Instead, I will say, God bless you and best wishes for a speedy recovery. And then Scott Baio's wife says, I'm sorry for your loss, but maybe your children are in a better place. Your ugliness knows no bounds.
Oh, fuck you.
It's yeah, she's trash too. One of Scott Baio's other great things he tried to do for America was, so Starbucks spoke out against Trump's shitty immigration policies, like a lot of companies did. And Baio's like, we're going to show Starbucks what's what. Let's go into Starbucks and order coffee, and we'll put Trump's name on the cup so that they have to yell out Trump when they
Okay.
And I'm like, way to go, Gene. Also, you're just giving money to Starbucks, to a
Right.
supposedly anti-Trump establishment. Way to own us. Way to own. He's so stupid. So here's where things start to get creepier. So Me Too hits the world in 2017, and Scott Baio's Charles in Charge co-star Nicole Eggert claims that Scott Baio molested her for 3 years, beginning when she was 14, and that when she was 17, she actually had sex with him. She's a child, by the way. He would have been 26 to 29 years old during that time frame. She went public with her accusations, and she called him a creep on Twitter. Just want to say that. Creep! And she said that he began pursuing her immediately when they first started shooting. She's 14. 14. He would have been 26. He's denied it. He contends that they did have sex, but that she was 18 at the time. And he says, I remember her calling me and asking me to come over, and she seduced me. And now I did what any normal heterosexual red-blooded American guy would have done.
This is a girl you've known since she was little.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yes. First of all, I believe her. Second, even if she's telling the truth and she was even if he's like, yeah, we didn't have sex and she was 18, there's a 12-year age gap, pretty big difference between 29 and 18. And he is the director and star of that show. He's her boss.
He'd also been famous for a long time.
Yes.
So he has that kind of power.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's super shady either way, but I totally believe her. And some other people came out to support what she was saying. So another co-star, Alexander Polinsky, confirmed that he said he witnessed inappropriate behavior between them on the set. And then another actor, Adam Carl, who worked on the set, said he remembers trying to comfort her when she was crying about Scott Baio on the set because he had been harassing her. And he said, I sat while you cried, and I know you're telling the truth, and I'm glad you're speaking out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she comes forward with her story, and then the other co-star, Alexander Polinsky, comes forward, and he says that Scott Baio physically assaulted him and mentally tortured him on the set. He was 13 years old when he was on that show. And he said that Scott Baio was a tyrant who loved to humiliate him with homophobic remarks. In one incident, he pulled his pants down in front of everybody, the cast members, the crew. He called him a gay slur. He threw a cup of hot tea in his face. He's just a kid. He's just a little kid. And he said working on the set of Charles in Charge from age 11 to 15 was no picnic. It was a toxic environment. He witnessed inappropriate behavior to Nicole Eggert during the show. He said he walked in on them behind the set, and that he would yell at them, and he called him various gay slurs. A lot of crew members were aware of the situation, but they were afraid of losing their jobs.
Yeah, and we'll talk one day. One day, we will get into the whole Nickelodeon Disney TV world of the 90s and aughts. And, on those sets, a lot of shit happens, and people are terrified of losing their jobs, and they don't have power. And they don't have
they have. It's true. And then, so Polinsky, after Polinsky came out with his story, Nicole Eggert reached out to him, and she apologized to him, saying that she was so sorry that she didn't stick up for him back in the day. And it's like, they were just children. They were just little kids. They actually went to the police station together and filed police reports together against Scott Baio. They tried to press charges, but the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office said they couldn't because the statute of limitations had run out. Statute of limitations frustrate me. The idea that, you did something illegal, but we can't prosecute you for it because time has passed is super shitty. Yeah. And it takes people a long time.
We know now. It takes people a long time to process and try to get up the courage to do things. And like I said, where were you going to go? Human resources, they don't give a shit. They're not going to do anything. And the other adults, they all are afraid for their jobs. I mean, he had a lot of power. For a dumb show like this, it wasn't even on a network. It was like one of those.
It was a syndicated show,
but it made money. So
yeah, and it ran for several years, and he, was a director on that show. He was probably a producer on that show.
Probably made money from it.
Yeah, I'm sure that he had a lot of power. He had some Chachi money. So on his Twitter, which you could go to right now, he still talks shit about Nicole Eggert. He is constantly retweeting memes about how most women are liars. He did it again with Cassidy Hutchinson, who just testified in front of the January 6th committee. She's a liar. Christine Blasey Ford, who testified against Kavanaugh, calling her a liar. I also want to say, if you go to his Twitter profile, they love to suggest other accounts that you might want to follow, and they suggest Kid Rock, John Voight, and Tim Allen. So good fucking company, Scott Baio. Like, fucking creep. He's such trash. In 2020, he tried to make a movie called Courting Mom and Dad with fellow garbage person Christy Swanson. Gross. But the production actually got shut down because they refused to follow guidelines for health, safety, and child welfare, including violating COVID protocols.
Of course.
Yes. I thought you might enjoy this one. One of our non-creeps of the past. One day, Scott Baio tweeted out something shitty about Biden and Biden's like policies in Afghanistan or something. I don't know why we are supposed to care what any of these people think about policies, but whatever. Here comes Scott Baio. I'm going to talk shit about Biden and Afghanistan, and I'm going to tag. He tags like Patton Oswalt, Alyssa Milano, Rob Reiner, and Richard Marx as like, come get your boy, Hollywood libs, blah, blah, blah. Here comes Richard Marx, who's so good at Twitter. And he says, the shit show in Afghanistan has lots of multiple administration blame to go around. When your racist draft dodging hero was calling out our own military men and women, losers and suckers, where the fuck were you, you disingenuous, rapey little twerp? Richard Marx, Twitter excellent. Is, mwah, it's chef's kiss. He's so good at it. And I just knew people would love that. So last year, Scott Baio was out campaigning for conservative talk show host Larry Elder in the recall of California Governor Gavin Newsom. By the way, Elder has been accused of abuse and sexual harassment, so this is very on brand for a man who supports Trump. While he was campaigning, by the way, why is Scott Baio campaigning for people? I don't know, but there he is campaigning for Larry Elder, and he refers to California as a shit state and insisted that we have to recall Governor Newsom lest multifamily low-income housing starts to show up in the burbs.
Yeah.
So that is code for black people.
Yeah. Black
people will move into the suburbs. And people called him out on it, quite rightly. And Larry Elder is a black man, by the way. So like, he was like, now you're trying to paint me as racist when I'm campaigning for a black guy. Dude, once again, the I have a black friend card does not make you any less racist. He's still racist. His Twitter is just disgusting. Mm-hmm. It's just, when it's not golf, which also fuck golf.
Who cares?
When it's not golf.
You mean Twitter golf, Sonia? Am I missing out on something?
No, it's fucking boring. But when it's not about boring golf shit, it's just misinformation and gross shit and fuck Scott Baio.
Yeah,
like he's trash and. It says something about the current state of conservative politics when these are the celebrities you can get to speak for you at events. Scott Baio, your Kid Rocks, your Ted Nugents, these fucking creeps.
Right. Basically. That we've talked about, by the way, on the show.
Yes, almost so many of them. Tim Allen will get there. Yeah. But they all suck. So that's our creep, Scott Baio.
Nicely done, Sonia.
Thank you.
Wow.
He sucks.
He does suck indeed. All right. Do you want to talk about somebody who doesn't suck?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
We're going to take a quick break and then we'll come right back to our not creep this week. When I say correctamundo, what do you think? Hey. I don't know if we've talked about him before. We've done this a couple times, but I don't think we have. I think this is the first time.
I don't think so.
No. Our not creep this week is Henry Winkler.
So good.
Director and actor and author and advocate. He played the Fonz, Arthur Fonzarelli, on ABC's Happy Days for 11 seasons, 12 seasons. So he did it for a long time.
Yeah.
He also he was a producer for Hollywood Squares for a while. He is on Barry, and he's won an Emmy for his work on Barry, which is, have you checked it out yet? That's on the weekend schedule.
I started the first season last week, and it's real good.
He won an Emmy.
Hot take, it's real good.
Yeah, Barry's good. And for you youngsters who are like, what is this? Like, I remember when we, in 94 or 95, we went to Ireland to visit relatives. And I remember we were watching Pulp Fiction, and a couple of the kids went, "What's a Fonzie?" And I said, "Oh my God, you don't have Happy Days here? They didn't have Halloween or Happy Days."
What?
I know. I was like, "This is a terrible existence. Come to America. Come with me to New York." Okay. He was born October 30th, 1945 in New York City to German immigrant parents. It was a very tough childhood. He said they were very, very short and very, very angry Germans. I can imagine.
Very short.
They escaped Hitler and came to America, and they were Jewish. I think it was like Russian Jews. That's where it comes from. But they were in Germany, and then they came to America, and they were very strict. And a lot of immigrants are tough on their kids. Like, hey, look, we brought your asses to America, assimilate and get some good grades, and do something with yourself.
Yeah.
He had a very hard time in school. He couldn't read very well. His grades were not great, and his parents couldn't understand because they're like, "You're charming, you're funny, you're a good talker. What is going on? You're not working hard enough. You're clearly just not working hard enough." And so he would just spend hours and hours and hours on his homework and on his reading, and he just kept screwing up. And he did okay. But he found the theater, and he found acting, which he liked. But then it was like the whole memorizing lines thing that he felt very challenged by. So he learned to improvise really quickly. Like, he either had to memorize every single word and it would take hours, or he could only glance. If you could barely understand what he was glancing at, he had to kind of go with instinct. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, and so he becomes Fonzie. And I can't even begin to tell you guys, like, in the 70s, how famous Happy Days.
My God.
Happy Days was a big fucking deal. All
Fonzie?
of them. Fonzie was everything.
He was the coolest. He could hit a jukebox and make it play. Everyone had like Fonzie lunch boxes. Yep. Like, he was the cool. The term "jumping the shark" is from Fonzie,
right?
FYI, because they did an episode where Fonzie literally jumped over some sharks on water skis
and a leather jacket. That was his
leather jacket because he's the Fonz and he's a ladies' man. He's always getting some. He was always getting some
from, twins and triplets. Like, that was their whole thing. But we also liked Fonzie. He was a nice guy. He lived with the Cunninghams. He was so he always tried to do positive messages. But anyway, he's super, super famous. And he could be such a dick because of it. He could be, and he's not. He is basically considered the nicest even nicer than Tom Hanks. And,
damn!
Yeah. And he has a problem with Tom Hanks because he was directing a Hanks movie, the one with the dogs. What's the one I'm thinking of?
Turner and Hooch?
Yes. And Hanks got him fired from it. Yeah.
I didn't know this story.
So there's a Hanks Winkler kind of feud.
Ooh.
Yeah. He gets married in late 70s to Stacy. They're still together.
Aww.
And they have a son, and his name is Max, and he's very, very smart, but he's not getting good grades. And it's in the 80s now, and his son's 5 or 6 years old, and he's like, how come he's not keeping up with the other kids with some stuff? And they have a thing now where they test kids and say, like,
yes,
are you verbal? Are you not verbal? What are you good at? And turns out he was dyslexic, which is what
I
my
knew
brother
it.
had. Yes.
I knew this is where this was going.
Yeah.
Some people have learning disabilities. Also, some people just learn differently.
Right. And dyslexia doesn't mean you're dumber than other people or your brain doesn't work. It just works differently. They can be just as intelligent or more intelligent. My brother Joe, when he read something, and it's right to his last day, he would read it first. He would take a yellow highlighter pen and highlight what he wanted to remember. Then he'd read it again and put a red line underneath it. And my brother remembered everything.
Wow.
After that, but he couldn't retain it any other way. Like that was, but he was taught that when he was young because he was diagnosed when he was young. And if you're diagnosed, you get these tools and then you move forward. Isn't that incredible how that works?
What? Yes.
In the 80s, he's raising his kids and his acting career is up and down. He's not, as famous as he was. Nobody could be as famous as they were.
See, nobody could be as famous as the Fonz, man.
Yeah, right. He was a sex symbol. Now you're middle-aged and whatever. And he started turning his sights to writing. And he started writing a series of books. And it's about a boy who's dealing with his dyslexia. And his name is Hank Zipser. And there's just a series of books of Hank growing up, dealing with school, dealing with other kids, learning how to manage his dyslexia and just life and life lessons. Gets a whole bunch of awards, sells really well. He says to this day, if he gets a letter from a kid about those books, he will write them back right away.
That is so sweet.
It's the thing about him that he's super proud of. He is somebody who, by the way, worked so hard that he went to Yale for a Master's of Fine Arts. Considering he was an undiagnosed dyslexic.
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
at the Yale level, like the Ivy League level, starting to study that stuff, that must have been so brutal. And he helped start the Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creativity, which is a nonprofit that helps people with dyslexia, wanting to write plays, screenplays, all that shit. He's super sweet. On top of everything, if you follow him on Twitter, and he does not have the policies of Scott Baio.
No, he does not.
He's classier than we are. He's not going to call him an asshole. I'm sure they really love each other. I'm sure they just disagree with each other. I'm sure
it's really hard.
Yeah, it's hard. It's family.
Yeah.
So we're not going to, but he's really, of all of his hobbies, he loves trout fishing. He goes in someplace in Montana, I believe it is, and Wyoming, somewhere up there, and he just fishes and fishes, and he just posts pictures of him with the fishes that he catches, and it makes him so happy. You've never seen a person happier than Henry Winkler when he's fishing. It's the most beautiful thing ever. So that is our not creep this week. Henry Winkler, the Fonz.
This is perfect. This is a perfect episode when you have Scott Baio as the creep and Henry Winkler as the not a creep. That's such a good pick, Margot.
Thank you. Well, it was easy because who else would it be? We tried to pick the same category. Right. That and like half of the people in our Facebook group would have a fit if I didn't pick him. They were already letting me know that they fully expected a Henry Winkler retrospective.
He's so great on Barry, and he was on Parks and Recreation too as the father of John Ralphio and Mona Lisa. He's so funny. Like he's just a really funny dude.
Super funny. He's great. And he, like I said, he's an author. He does a lot of things, and he's still married to the same woman.
Oh, so sweet.
Great father, great worker, really supports other people, loves to support young artists and their thing. He's a reason to smile if you just need that. So thank you, Henry Winkler, for all first of all, making my childhood so hilarious. I loved Happy Days when I was a kid. I had Fonzie socks that I wore.
I think I had a Happy Days lunchbox that had the Fonz on it. I'm almost positive I did.
When Weezer did that song, Buddy Holly, and they used the Happy Days.
So good.
Few things in life make me happier than that.
It's so good.
Well, that is our show this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you have suggestions for creeps and non-creep, follow us wherever you are. We love it when you use the Annie Potts GIF. We got one from Ghostbusters. Those are for your suggestions. Our email, once again, is whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. Let me know if you would like some stickers. And Sonia, I almost forgot.
Yes.
A pox upon me. One more thing. If you like the sound of our voices, my scratchy, allergy-ridden voice box.
Who doesn't like that?
Well, guess what? We co-host another show, and it is called Dorking Out, where we dork out about movies. What was the last movie we covered, Sonia?
It was Honeymoon in Vegas.
Honeymoon in Vegas. Thank you. That's where we found Bruno Mars. A little 7-year-old Bruno Mars is featured in the movie as a little Elvis. It was
so
adorable.
Cute.
So cute. What are we covering next?
This week, we are going to do The Doors. We're going to open The Doors.
1990s, The Doors with Val Kilmer. It's amazing. It's an Oliver Stone picture. I was an extra in this movie.
Yes,
so
Margot has stories
to tell. That's the good thing about being old as shit. You have some like cool stories you can tell the youngsters.
She's not old as shit.
Anyway, y'all, thank you so much for listening. Sonia, where can they find you?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram, sometimes Facebook, and TikTok. Where can people find you, Margot?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Brooklyn Fit Chick. My site is brooklynfitchick.com. Thank you all so much for listening. Stay safe. Don't be a creep.
Creep!
Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.